Manchester City are planning to raid Inter Milan for not just one, but two of their superstar names. And this would be an incredible story if we were to achieve signing both of these players that I'll get onto shortly. But it's not just those two. There's a third name that's come up for Manchester City fans to get excited about. A new name, a name we've not been linked with before, but a name that's definitely on the up and up. An exciting prospect and exciting times for Manchester City to be linked with players of this calibre. Let's start with the first one, the Inter Milan. The name you all want to hear is Nico Barella. Of course it's Nico Barella because he's an incredible talent. Why wouldn't we be associated with Nico Barella? Because that level of quality, we should always be interested in players of that quality. He's an absolutely sensational player. He can play the full spine of a midfield, defensive, central, attacking midfield, no problem. He's an absolutely brilliant player and he controls games with ease, man. He's such a good player. So good, technically able. He knows where the back of the net is as well, with some brilliant volleys he's scored this season already. He's such a good player. Go on, if you haven't heard of him, if you've been living under some sort of rock, then crawl out of that rock and click on YouTube and go and check out Nico Barella, because the guy's an absolute phenom. He's an incredible talent. But will we have to break the bank for him? Because the reported market value is 80 million euros, which is understandable. I think that's a fair price, but he's 27. So the idea of signing a 27-year-old for 80 million euros, it's now or never. Inter Milan are strapped for cash right now. They're in a little bit of financial turmoil. So there is reports suggesting that there could be some sort of strategic sales being used here for Inter Milan just to make way for some cash, and that's one player that they could get a large lump sum for straight away. But from City's point of view, a 27-year-old whose contract expires in 2029, surely that means City needs to go for him now, because the usual strategy for a lot of transfer dealings is to go for players with 1, maybe 2 years left on their contract, but it doesn't finish till 2029. You know, a long way away. That is a long contract. So if we're planning on waiting until 2028 to target him and go for him, by then the guy will be 30 plus. You know, too late. Too late. We need him now. He's in the peak of his career. And it's, for me, it's either next summer or not at all. You know, and the idea that it also 27, if you look at the players that Manchester City have been signing lately, when you factor in their age, you look at Jeremy Doku, you're thinking Savinho, Erling Haaland, Gvardiol, all 20, 21, 22, that sort of region. Obviously, you bring in Ilkay Gundogan for a bit of experience, but in a year's time, Gundogan will be bordering on too much experience, a little bit too long in the tooth. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit too old, you know, he's aging, you know, and Kevin De Bruyne, injury prone, age, it's taking its toll on our midfield. So we do need that blend of experience and youth, and Manchester City have appointed a lot of players that are heavy on the youth side right now, and I think Nico Barella ticks the box for a central midfielder that could potentially cover for Rodri. Like I said, the guy covers the spine of the midfield. He is very versatile on the vertical side of the midfield, so an immense player, and one I think City should be looking at regardless. We are going to face competition from the likes of Real Madrid though, so that's the one club that you don't want to be in a transfer battle with because of the pulling power of Real Madrid. Anyone else, especially with Pep at the helm, I would argue we're the favourites to sign that player, you know? But ultimately, it would be an absolutely sensational signing. Now, the second name from Inter Milan is Federico Dimarco, which is, a sensational player. We didn't actually get to face him earlier this season in the Inter Milan game, the 0-0. Bit of a bore fest, that game, to be honest, but we did face Inter Milan, but it was Dimarco-less. There was no Federico Dimarco in that side, and he's a great player. A left-back, which is unusual for Manchester City to be targeting left-backs. When's the last time we were in for a left-back? Obviously, we signed Gvardiol, but he was a centre-back, ultimately, who's now playing the left side of the centre-back. Obviously, we've got Nathan Ake, who's also entering into... He's not that old, to be fair, is he? But he's injury-prone. Are we looking at a new potential system? Is this a little bit more looking towards Hugo Viana side of things and Ruben Amorim, who tends to play wing-backs? There's a little bit of speculation there, potentially, that we look for a wing-back system. I'm not too sure, but ultimately this guy can play in centre-back as well. He has been known to play centre-back. He can play left-back. He can play left-wing, ultimately, as well. So a very versatile left-sided player that I think is absolutely sensational. 26 as well, which is fantastic. Again, looking for a little bit more of that experience. But yeah, he's a brilliant player. 1 goal, 1 assist already from 8 games so far this season. Sensational talent. And if we were to target both of these players, I mean, Bayern Munich is the competition for Manchester City to worry about. And again, I think we can beat them to certain players. I think we have a better pulling power right now than Bayern Munich do. The problem for them is how hard they'll go for Federico Di Marco, because of the likeliness is Alphonso Davies is on his way out and on his way to Real Madrid, which takes them out of the equation of trying to sign a left-back like Federico Di Marco, but also increases the incentive for Bayern Munich to go hard for Federico Di Marco. So do City need Federico Di Marco with Ake and Gvardiol? I certainly wouldn't say no. It gives us more options for that versatile. You could potentially see him being a little bit of an inverted left side of the player. Someone who plays left back, the Rico position right now, playing right back but tucking into midfield. Maybe he plays the left back position and tucks into midfield, potentially something along those lines. The one thing I will say, there's no way we're signing either of these players in January. Absolutely no chance. Inter Milan right in the middle of their Champions League campaign. They are not going to let go of their two superstars. Even if they are a little bit hard up for money, they aren't going to say yes to that money right now. They're going to have to wait for summer for Manchester City to go in for these two Inter Milan players. But the third name that Manchester City have been linked with today is a new name. And this comes from Fichajes, which was the original rumour for Nico Barella as well. That also came from Fichajes. And the Federico Di Marco one actually came from Inter Live. So there was mixtures of sources there, but Fichajes being the predominant one for the two players of Nico Barella, as well as Alexbay, which is an up-and-coming player. I think he's on the up-and-up, this lad. He looks really, really talented. Predominantly a left winger. He's right-footed, who's predominantly played left wing, but can play centrally, can play on the right. An incredibly versatile midfield player that's getting into the Spain squad as well. Played in the Serbia game the other night, and in Spain's 3-0 win, and scored a goal as well. So he's now getting into the national squad as a 23-year-old. He looks a special player. One thing I will say, if you haven't seen this player play already, go and check him out and just take note of his vision, man. The eye for a pass, you know, just like Kevin De Bruyne, like those cutbacks that no one sees it. No one sees it, you know what I mean? Just like the only player in the world who saw it on that pitch at that moment was Kevin De Bruyne. And he reminds me of that a little bit. Some of the passes, he loves a diagonal pass, but he also loves to break the lines with very unexpected passes that are just devastating to defences. Exciting. It's really exciting. Currently playing for Villarreal, the Yellow Submarine. He also had a loan spell at Girona, which again, a little bit of connections to Manchester City with them being one of our sister clubs as well. So there is a little bit of realistic connection there between the history of the player and there's a stepping stones towards Manchester City, and who knows if Pep agrees to extend his deal, which I believe he will. These are the sorts of players that Pep Guardiola will get his juices going, or getting him excited and want him to sign that new contract to coach players of this quality. Incredibly exciting times. Out of those three Blues, who would you want if you could only have one? Do you think it's realistic for Manchester City to even be targeting two of these in the space of one transfer window? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.